I'm Ken Jones from Circular Software. I've got lots to show you, so save the applause till the end. Let me just make, oh, I need my glasses, everything's gone small. So, I want to start off by saying accessibility is a very important part of EPUB. And I would love to work with you all to understand just how accessible we can make Fixed Layout EPUB. I realise it's harder and it may not be quite as accessible as what we can do in Reflowable. Just to mention, there are tools that I have created and given to the community for free. This is an article about Greenlight. Greenlight has some tools to help improve on what we get from InDesign. So all of my tools work with InDesign. I'm a big fan of InDesign. I train on InDesign, but I'm also disappointed with how InDesign has stopped with any sort of development of what is how to make EPUB better. So I'm sort of filling that gap on my own. I think we could do more in improving what InDesign can do. Obviously, Fixed Layout works best on a larger screen. I would be the first person to say it's not great on a mobile device, and I recommend that probably you don't use Fixed Layout on a mobile device. But I'll show you something at the end. I hope we have time where we might change that opinion. As we have more, in the Western world at least, more connectivity, faster connectivity, larger screens, more affordable, homes, schools, offices all have large screens. Let's take advantage of that. The problem is it's hard to create something unless there's a support for it, okay? So which came first, right? If there's not, someone said this yesterday, if there's not support for the format, then the format, we don't create stuff that is any good for the format. Do you know what I mean? Let me say that better. Without the support for the rich stuff that we can do, then people don't do the rich stuff because there's no support. There's no way to get the stuff out there. I'm not really good at slides. I'm going to just go straight to a demo because this is what I like. So I'm sure people in this room know that EPUB is a folder, right? But I've got some articles. I might just, if you're into Twitter and things, I will share some of the links that I am going to mention. I wanted to show this. So as an InDesign user myself, I was very disappointed to read this recent poll. Look at this, where people, the question was, what kind of output do you create? And the answer is, they're pretty poor. Publish online is beating Reflowable, which is beating Fixed Layout. Okay, so PDF is still massive. People think EPUB doesn't work. They think it's ugly. They think it's hard to create. They think there's no way to sell it. Therefore, there's some big reasons why people don't make it. This is something we must change because we have a great format. So the EPUB folder. Oh, it's not a training session. I can't tell you everything about what's inside this folder, okay? But what I want to show is that with the beautiful EPUB check, we can just have a look at the folder, and everything I'm going to show you from this folder is going to be valid. However, I had the idea, because EPUB has got this taint of not being good, when it certainly is, so let's change its name. I'm thinking FPUB, or maybe GPUB, or maybe OMGPub. That's what I'm calling it today, okay? Let me validate my new OMGPub. Basically, if we called this PDF3 and showed people what it could do, they go, wow, PDF is amazing. If we call it EPUB, they go, I don't like EPUB, it doesn't work, it's ugly, okay? So we know in this room. Now, this will validate. Does the chap who's Pagina chap in the room? I use this tool a lot. It relies on EPUB check, which we've mentioned. As you can see, it's using the latest version. It's validating against 3.2. I should say, Hey, it's a valid EPUB. Let's have a look inside. This is a 5-year-old laptop. I'm showing you software on iBooks, which is at least 5 years old. This has been able to be done in the last 5 years. Here we go. This is the new world. This is, don't tell everyone, but it is an EPUB, okay? It's a fixed layout valid EPUB, but it's actually better than you may think. It's an OMGPub. So, as I've probably said already, EPUB is a great format, but it's hard for people to make them. It's hard for people to get them to people, especially fixed layout, right? And that means it's hard to sell, which means there's no market, which is hard. I'm talking about trade publishing. I know I've been very impressed with what I've learned so far this week. There's a real valid reason why we have fixed layout. If we can have a large screen, the fact that we can actually put things where we want, have full bleed images, have text over images, use the fonts that we want is very important, not just because we want it to look pretty, but because we want to convey something that's important. It is part of the meaning, part of the value of the layout is the fact that it has been well designed. So we've got typography. By the way, everything I'm showing, I'm going to share. And I've put links to everything which I'm showing. So we've got fonts. We can choose which fonts we want. We've got music fonts. We've got crazy watermelon fonts. Okay, this is all live SVG new fonts. So that's what I'm showing here. For our text design, it's very important to be able to use the fonts that we want. This is a new format of font. If I zoom in, can you see it's semi-translucent? So this is an SVG font. It is supported. I'm showing it. It's in EPUB. EPUB is a marvelous standard. We've got SVG in other ways. Okay, you could have maybe text on a path, which is all live. And as my audio work, testing, audio test. Turn me up. We're going to need more audio than this. Should we try again?
The rabbit hole went straight on like a tunnel for some way.
We got it? Once more. Thank you very much. Leave it on, because I'm going to be doing more stuff.
Straight on like a tunnel for some way.
Can you turn it up a bit, please? Maybe I'll turn it up.
The rabbit hole went straight on like a tunnel for some way.
This is text to speech. You heard that right. Text on a path, straight out of InDesign with live, as you saw, SVG. We can do that. Here's another idea. You could use more efficient space. Make the font bigger, but actually use the fact that we can do more interactive stuff to put. You don't have to design your pages in the same way as print. Obviously, this looks like a print page, but we're taking advantage of that tiny idea of scrolling. That's very easily done. Any text frame which is overset in circular flow immediately becomes a scrolling text frame. Not just for kids stuff, though. It might be useful to have a whole list of scrollable information in a table. This is all live and selectable and readable and etc. Okay, so this is a scrolling thing. I'm just finding little bits and thinking, that's interesting. That could go in EPUB. And of course it can, because it's built on web standards. All these little snippets of web code that we find, this chap is sharing it. I can put it on the page. Well, that's great. I'll show you how to do it. Let's not talk about politics. But how about having a table which you can actually sort as well with hyperlinks and rollovers, etc. So that's an idea. This is MathML. So MathML on the page. This is all live stuff. It's being interpreted. This is an XML format. You can drop it straight onto the page, and it works for complex descriptions. You want us taking a picture? Okay. Good. Let's talk about animation. So there's plenty of ways to drop in animation. This looks great. It's an animated GIF. but it's pretty heavy. It's over 8 meg just for this one image on just this one page. Obviously, if you've got the bandwidth and it is local, then it's not a big deal, but there's probably better ways that we could do it. This is under half a megabyte for this, and can you see it's a little bit of animation which is within the page. And to do it in higher quality and at much less file size, video. Let's use video as our animation format, and if you can have a looping video like you can have a looping GIF, you get better quality for less file size. This is tiny. This is 33K, and this is a combination of web code, so using CSS and SVG. This guy has made this little sort of sketch, which I just dropped on the page here. Let's treat ourselves to this, so that we've got here something that's prompting me to interact with it. A little bit of subtle animation means that I'm going to tap this.
Come on. What's taking so long? This is taking forever.
This is Galdo. I might show you some more of Galdo in a little bit. How this was done, though, was using the full sort of kit that we get with web code. So we're using JavaScript animation, and then we can drop in parts of HTML. And with JavaScript, you get interaction, so to get the audio to play, that's what we're doing here. What's next? Subtle, simple, but interactive, just clicking on basically large buttons, is making use of my screen size. And to be fair to InDesign, there's some quite nice animation that is built into InDesign. I did this in InDesign, and it carries straight through into EPUB. So Fixed Layout EPUB can take advantage of these sort of things. Also, all these sliders are actually InDesign things. They've all got live text, etc. This one is about buttons. So guiding the student or the reader to a part of the page, and then encouraging them to interact. And if I tap here, I can invoke a quick video.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Etc. So that's bits of the page. I quite like the fact that you can overlay stuff on top of existing pages. So rather than trying to have to change the page design, if you can overlay something on top of it temporarily, then you've got a nice way not to have to redesign the thing, which is obviously more expensive. This was an idea I thought you might like. If you've got a sort of a typical page, why not have a zoom in to part of the page? Oh, this guy. Let's go in. Okay, so that was a tiny bit of JavaScript I found, zoom.js, it's free. It literally is 2 lines to drop it into an EPUB if you like that sort of thing. Video. So video is obviously instantly attractive. I just was showing on here, we can actually put custom buttons. We can remove the play bar and the scrubber if you want to. Obviously, you might not want to, but having a button, this is again is just an InDesign button that I'm switching to show a particular passage of video. Simple audio. There you go. We can just play it with a little thing there, or with a tap, or this little fellow. Okay, it's just a way to encourage people to interact with the page. So that's simple, basic audio. It's well supported in HTML5. Of course, it works in EPUB. Another big thing I'm very keen on in a sample sentence with a pop-up definition. There we go. I'll do it again. A sample sentence with a pop-up definition. That's my voice, I'm afraid. Sentence with there you go. So you can tap on the word to get it to start from that point. What we're looking at here is media overlays. So for some time now, my tool, Circular Flow, has got a totally automatic way to do the timestamping, to write all the code. We can, straight from InDesign, make a read-aloud valid EPUB 3. And this one was, a client was looking at how to mix definitions rather than, to tap an area of a page. It means something at some point, and it means something at another point. Let me show you another use for media overlays. Rediem. Hey. I'm going to the web for this one because there are certain restrictions. I was using iBooks, I should have mentioned, I think I did, on the desktop. Now I'm in the browser. Now we can live, totally legally, pull in some music from Spotify. Spotify give these little widgets that you can drop onto the page. As long as you've got, well, if you haven't got a Spotify account, you get a little clip. If you've got a Spotify account, you can start to interact with your desktop app. We did some stuff with Amazon, ironically, used EPUB 3 for their advertising of one of their services because they had a Spotify playlist that they want to integrate in their stuff. But this page is more, okay? So also some of the brilliant stuff that you can get in Rediem, and this is, again, quite an older version of Rediem. I can actually tap to go to a certain page. I mean, thank you. So let me start and stop. Let me go back. I'm just tapping a single key here to move around the page. I can also slow down. If you're trying to work out this bit of guitar picking, this is quite hard, so let's slow it down. You keep the pitch, but you're slowing down so you can actually figure it out how to do it, and then you go, oh, I didn't get that quite right, let's go back, or let's go forward. Okay, oops, pressed the wrong button. Oh, there we go. And you can just go to another page. So like if you've got a group of students, okay, everyone, from verse 2, here we go. You can just dip into the page at the point. So that's using media overlays as well. It doesn't have to be text-to-speech or read aloud text. It can be used for that sort of thing. Slides. There's plenty of ways that we can do slideshows. Let me just switch that off for now. This is quite nice. It's using some CSS to animate between our slides that we're tapping. This is all live text. I met these guys just a couple of weeks ago. Codified Design Studio, they're doing some beautiful stuff. Because they're using web code, we can drop it onto the page. This can be something. And another point, I'll make it now because I'm thinking about it. EPUB is great in that it's a way to encapsulate something into a product that you can protect and you can sell, and you know. So having all of this stuff available on the web is fine, but how do you monetize that? EPUB is the way. Okay, have we got time for me to just do this? I've got to get in the corners first. Does anyone know this bridge? I'm just filling for time. It's a nice bridge. I'm doing well, right? So this is a widget. So just like any other folder of web code, I can drop into the page interactive widgets. So I'm a big fan of a company called Book Widgets. Hey, I did it. Let me show their tool. So Book Widgets for years have been making these lovely stuff. They've got a whole load of stuff, crosswords, word searches. Let me just find this one very quickly. I can just... I'll try that one small. View example, that's probably, I was trying to create a new one, which is a little bit hard in front of everybody. But imagine a student learning about this sort of thing and being able to interact with the page. Oh, that's a big number. You can see how it's actually nicely changing as I'm changing the amounts of goats and sheep, etc. apparently. Okay, so there's loads of book widgets that we now have a way to put them onto the page. So quizzes, you can interact with this one. Anyone? I needed that one. And they're clever enough to randomize them, so the next time they will save what you've done. And even if you close the book and come back to it using local storage, they save where you're up to within the widget, which is within the EPUB. But if your neighbor is doing the same quiz, they can randomize the results, so you're not copying, you have to read the quiz in order to actually answer it. Okay. Let's do this one. Oh. Ah. Too many buttons. Can anyone see any more? Ottawa, is that right? Is that in the list? Yay! Okay. So, Berlin, where's that? Well done. Ooh. Hey, okay. So, we've got some more interaction. I've just done simple ones that don't need to communicate outside the book. If we go to the browser, then we can communicate outside the book. This could be linked into an education system. It can automatically mark the results of the quizzes that the students are answering. There's plenty of potential there. This is just a beautiful thing. This is a combination of what I'm calling sort of a composition of photography, animation, and video, and there's actually a random element, so the flashes that are happening are randomized with CSS, so this is just a piece of artwork, really, which is using that. What else we got? Oh, ambient audio. As soon as you arrive at this one, the audio starts to play. We've got that live text on a path. I think this one.
The owl and the pussycat went to sea on a beautiful pea-green boat.
Not bad. There's a better one. This is a work in progress. I just had, so this is the one I made for the client. Let me just... You can see the difference. This has now got video in there. We've got live SVG with live drop shadow with a video playing underneath with ambient audio and read aloud. So I think we changed the color in the final one.
The owl and the pussycat went to sea.
You got the idea. Okay, let me show you the finest EPUB that has ever been made. This is a great advert for EPUB. And if you're in this room and you haven't seen this yet, then why not? Because it is a beautiful thing. So every page of this has got a looping animation. Where you see this little bookmark, you've got a hidden number. Can anyone see the hidden number in the scene? First one to shout out. Hey! Down here. 8 on the gate. Okay, for later, that will be important. And this guy now is reacting.
Delighted. Your arrival has made them very excited.
He's triggering the read aloud as well as. This is basically that area is some HTML code. This is some looping video. This got a PNG on top of it. You've got live text here from InDesign actually. We've got read aloud on there. Oh yeah, and all the words have got they've got an underline, they've got an interaction, so we can actually tap on an area and get a fun definition. Okay, let me find my favorite spread, this one. So these guys have made this beautiful thing. It's an art project, I suppose, because they've made hand-drawn things. They've basically puppeteered them, videoed them, colored them up. So it's a physical thing. If you're interested in finding out more, I will tweet an article I wrote. And another important point about this, I called this article Making a Groundbreaking Animated Interactive Children's Storybook. And these people themselves have called it a boovie, a book and a movie combined. Only if you start to read the small print do we actually even mention EPUB, because EPUB, they didn't want to call it an EPUB because they think people don't like EPUBs because they think they know what EPUBs are and they won't even open the thing. So they went out of their way to call it something different. Okay. Let's go back to... oh, no, I haven't shown you... Let me show you a couple more things in this one. I hope we have time. Yeah. You can put your name in. I won't do it here. It's, and it appears in the book, so we're starting to do personalization in the book. And towards the end, I'll just go... You really must... There's a free sample. This is a valid EPUB. It's for sale in the iBook store. So we had the numbers that we picked from the scene. If you put the numbers in the right order into this combination, like you get a sort of hidden extra. And your name appears in lights at the end as part of the scene as well. So lovely. It's rather good. Where was I? This one. Here we've got a nice slideshow, a different idea, where we can look around different pictures. But on this one, you can go in, or out, or left, or right, or round the back. Okay, so we've got a way to drop in. Again, this is web code that's dropped onto the page. You can move it out of the way if you want to. Panorama Photographer is the supplier of this, and they're very interested in what's possible in EPUB. And again, to deliver this is web code that's been dropped onto the page. I don't have to figure out how to do it. Let someone who's a specialist in panorama photography do the bit that you just drop onto your page. Now, I said I might come back to the phone at the end, and I need a volunteer from the audience. Please come up, sir. If I go from the biggest screen, straight up, he's keen, back to the smallest screen, now I've got something that you won't be able to see very well. Let me try and open a different one. Just hold that for me, sir. You didn't know this was happening, did you? You're not been primed. No? Okay. Oh, yeah. One last thing. I won't. It's a valid EPUB as well. We're going to open up this one. And the only reason I've made it different, I wanted to use the full size of the screen in iBooks. And I've done it similar to what we saw in the last example, but there's two of them. Why would there be two of them? Why, if you have a little thing to slot this in. Are you ready for this? Yes. So now we've got the gyro on the phone is giving an extra interaction. So this is an EPUB on a phone. Do you want to take your glasses off? You're going in?
Going in.
Okay, there's a step. Don't run off the step. Okay. So what can you see in front of you?
I see a room.
Can you describe? Is it you looking at a sofa?
I'm looking at a sofa.
Okay, look behind you. Can you see a picture on the wall?
Yes, I can.
What's the picture of?
Of a house.
Oh, is it
The painting.
yeah, a painting of a house. Okay. Look to the right of that. Can you see a little target?
Yes.
Stare at the target. You've got to stare for it long enough. You move to another scene in the thing. Has he moved? This is the only bit I couldn't do in time for the AV thing. This will work if we had a different security on the Wi-Fi. Basically, we could see what he's seeing right now. But you get the idea. He can guide through a scene. Where are you now, mate? He's looking at the ceiling.
Like a den of some kind.
Oh, he's gone out the wrong door, I think. This can have audio attached to it, so you can. And the guy who's done this is, as you walk past somebody, the audio can swell, and and if you go to a different scene. Okay. Thank you very much. So. Nearly there. Go back to this one. Yeah, so if you go to this link, I've made this with all totally shareable stuff. So OMGPub is the link that if you, I just need to know who you are, and if I can share the stuff. To be honest, I could have done this presentation 3 years ago, and I've done other things in between time, but I'm coming back to EPUB now because there is better support with the stuff that we've seen that Rediem are doing, and the Thorium stuff looks great, and the Calibrio reader, you must check that out. Having support for getting your rich interactive files to people, I think the time is coming, people, for the second coming of ebooks. There's a little article I wrote, which I will share. Okay, so I think that's enough. Thank you very much. Oh, any questions?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Maybe there are some questions in the audience. Yes.
Yes, the question is, which versions of InDesign are you supporting with
Well,
the additional programs?
CS6 and later, but did you know InDesign have just, Adobe have just switched off all the previous versions in the cloud. So if you've got them, we can support them, but basically everyone's on the latest version from now on, but yeah.
Other questions?
Do come and talk to me if you want to try the goggles on. Also,
Yes.
I've got a way to share.
In this case, we've got a break.
Oh, is this question there?
Question, sorry. Ivan.
So, if I'm not a user of InDesign, I know I am a strange guy, so I am not one.
No, that's
Then, well, on the web you have quite a lot of tools to produce bits and pieces of what you said, because these are all web technologies, but I want to have them sort of collected into an ebook.
Yeah.
Then I'm on my own.
So I've written tools to drop them onto the page. So you choose the size and the position and basically say, put it there. And then, as many people here will know, everything needs to be declared in the OPF. So it does all that stuff.
I know those, but
Yeah.
you know, I have to do it by hand. There is no tool that gives me these types of EPUBs easily.
Circular
unless
flow
I use InDesign.
from Circular Software. It's an add-on. So there's a tool that does it for you. Yeah, it's an add-on to. Yeah, so it's a paid. It's a commercial tool.
We need to make one, yes?
Yeah, I'll give you. Come and see me. I'll give you a free trial.